You are now tuned in to Art Asheville Radio. Thanks for listening, y'all. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for checking out this fun new project I'm calling Art Asheville. Maybe you've had the time to listen once or twice before, but maybe it's your first time. Either way, here's a quick little rundown of what you can expect from the show. So I absolutely love art in all its various iterations, and I think that creative forms of expression is one of the most important things that we have access to in our human experience. Everything that we have now is a culmination of all the great creatives and the makers of the past. And thinking in ways that are transformative comes from the fundamental inclination for wonder and curiosity about all things in life. For over a decade now, I've been practicing visual arts, painting, and illustration, and I've really found pleasure in the journey of trying to develop a style that is uniquely my own and where I fit in this world of contemporary art. And through the years of my interacting with so many creatives, I've noticed an inclination for curiosity and wonder in topics that most people would consider unpopular or fringe or esoteric. Now, these are the kinds of things that really light my brain up, be it spirituality, astrology, metaphysics, quantum physics, crystals, conspiracies, fairies, UFOs. You know, all that crazy hippy-dippy new age stuff. Yeah, the weirder the better. That's the kind of thing that I like to get into in a deep conversation. And it's almost as if creatives can find themselves on a similar wavelength of thought or ideas. It's almost a prerequisite, it seems, for creative endeavors, akin to a problem solver, if you will, in the way that their method of thinking is structured. This is why I think an artist is one of the most interesting people you can talk to. So, after many years of travels and leaving a trail of paint behind me everywhere I went, I wound up in sweet little old Asheville, North Carolina, nestled in the Appalachian Mountains, immersed in so much natural beauty and saturated with so many creatives who call this place home. What is it about this place that draws so many of us here? A question I'm not sure many of us know the exact answer to, but we will definitely endeavor to explore this and many other things as we get to peek into the weird and wonderful world of the many creatives who call this place home. I hope y'all enjoy it. On this episode of Art Asheville, we spoke with illustration wizard Fian Arroyo. I've been a fan of Fian's work for some time now, as his highly illustrative and fantasy work caught my eye quite starkly while perusing the Asheville gallery scene when I first moved to the area. It was really cool getting to meet and chat with him. We got to hear Fian's story of how he got here to Asheville by way of Texas through Miami. It was real fun hearing his accounts of his experience in those areas, and it led to a really interesting story about Julio Iglesias, and I'll say no more about that one. We also spoke about the art scene in Miami and Wynwood and how it's changed so much since the time he lived and skated in the area. Fian's got his hands in so many different projects all the time, and it was cool to get a glimpse into the kind of things he keeps busy with. Everything from the occasional corporate business holiday postcard commission to working with some of his favorite skaters and skate companies to learning how to navigate the pop culture phenomenon exploding around the world that is, of course, the Comic-Con type conventions that take place throughout the country. It was really neat hearing how he became involved in that circuit, and I'll give you a hint to how he did it. He just applied to it. That's pretty encouraging. Our local story highlighted our local Buncombe County Health syringe exchange program and how it is beginning to operate again after being suspended for some time, an action that we both had some interesting insights to. And, of course, in true Asheville form, we got to speak with Fian about his involvement with local brewery Eluvium and what he's been up to with them. This was such a great time, and I can't wait to sit down and chill and have a beer and chat with Fian again. I hope y'all enjoy it. This episode of the show is brought to you by Rad Printworks. You can find them on social media at Rad Printworks. They are located at the Foundation Studios in the heart of the River Arts District in beautiful downtown Asheville. And what would a podcast be without some amazing intro music? I want to take a quick moment to give a shout out to Connor Golden, a local Asheville musician who was so kind enough to let us use his music on the show. You can find him on SoundCloud and Instagram under his name, Connor Golden. Thanks so much for letting us use the music, Connor. And now, let's start the show.
So we found out when on your way over here, when you called me, you had a 305 area code. So I was like, no way, could this actually be from Miami? Because I grew up in Miami, and I'm so used to seeing that area code everywhere. I was like, no way, dude, it couldn't be Fian. And sure enough, it was you. And you called me saying you got a 954 number, Fort Lauderdale. So
I know that very well, man.
It's like, weird how you never forget those area codes, and when you see them, you know what I mean?
I know. It's
so
like.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Say, how long were you living down in Miami?
Oh, man.
You from there? Would you consider yourself?
No. When I graduated from college from Texas State,
mm-hmm.
And I'm an Army brat, so I lived everywhere. But I went to college at Texas State, and what back then was Southwest Texas State. And after I graduated from college, one of my clients, because I went freelance illustration while I was still in college, and I worked at a design studio, and then went on my own while my senior year,
mm-hmm.
and one of my clients moved to Miami, and they flew me down he called me up one day and said, "Hey, dude, you want to we'll fly you down there, we'll do a job for us?" And I said, "Sure." So I went down there and I saw it, and I just graduated. And I said,
mm-hmm.
"I'm gonna get the fuck out of San Antonio."
Nice.
Can I say? Can I curse?
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
Yeah. Why,
I love the F word.
That wouldn't be a real conversation. Yeah,
yeah.
Please say whatever you want, however you feel it.
Oh, cool.
Most definitely.
So I went. Did the job, and said, "Man!" And while I was there, I was in Coconut Grove, and I went, "I'm gonna look." My friend of mine's friend was a realtor, and he said, "Hey, dude," because I was thinking about, maybe I'm just gonna move down here. Mm-hmm. During that week I was there,
wow.
We found a place. I put a deposit down. I went home, and a month later, I moved back down to Miami, and I was there for like 25 years.
Oh, no way! So you went over there for a gig, basically, and just
and said,
you wanted to live
"I gotta
there.
get the hell out of Texas."
So you grew up in Texas then?
No,
oh,
Texas.
Okay.
I was just there.
Let's get to the
okay,
gist
I was
of
like,
it.
"This." Okay, we'll do the back. We'll go backwards.
Backtrack.
Like so, it's like in Texas. I did my senior year in high school and then college.
Oh, okay.
And so before then, we lived because my dad was a gum surgeon for the military.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Texas, he got out of the military and started his own practice.
Mm-hmm.
And but before then, we had lived like in Japan, Panama, Kentucky, Maryland, Georgia, and originally we're from Puerto Rico. So first few years of my life were in Puerto Rico.
Cool.
And but like Japan was like, I think the biggest influence on my creativeness, was like the Japanese sense of design and color, and
mm-hmm.
it's always been like, I think, ingrained in me from the very beginning.
Yeah.
You know?
How young were you in your Japanese experience?
I was we were there for like 3-4 years. We left when I was in second grade, I think.
Okay, so
I always think grades. I don't think ages. I can't remember,
yeah, sure. That'll do. So, like, when you were younger, was there a prevalence, or did the art that was like prevalent in the Japanese culture make an impact on you? Like, as far as when I'm thinking like the anime, the manga type culture, was that?
Well, I don't
what
even
it was?
think that was around back then.
Okay, that's what I was kind of get at.
I just did art, and I'm basically raised on comic books, Marvel comics and stuff like that, and but what really influenced me I have a degree in commercial art with an emphasis with a minor in fine art.
Okay.
And what really influenced me was like when I first saw the art book by Frank Frazetta, the fantasy artist, mm-hmm. and I went, "Holy crap, that's what I want to do!" But before then, I was always doing like drawing cartoons, Warner Brothers stuff when I was a kid,
mm-hmm.
and so that really got me inspired because I read in the book like he was a commercial artist. So I said, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna major in commercial art."
Yeah.
But then you find out later it's like commercial art involves a lot of stuff.
I was just going to ask,
design.
How would that differ for somebody going in like to an art program thinking that they want to study like fine art or an art program or something like that? How does that differ from like a commercial art program?
Well, a commercial art program is like it's going to encompass design, illustration, more of not, in illustration, you want to find your niche and your style, like you would in fine art.
Mm-hmm.
But you're selling somebody else. You're not selling yourself. You're
Right.
not. And that's what led me to the journey I'm on now, which I have a dual journey. I'm still doing illustration, because I can't give that up because I love solving problems. It's visual problem solving.
I love that.
You're figuring out something for a magazine, or
I love that.
you're doing, like I do a lot of skateboard stuff. Just finished something for a skateboard company in California. I'm doing another one now. But with that, it's kind of like, it's not the same. I just do whatever. I get free reign to do whatever I want. And
That's
it's
so
like,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, it's a luxury.
Yeah.
But, having to figure out, how to sell this product or how to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and in fact, doing the fine art stuff, my creative imagery for fantasy, where it all began, for me,
Mm-hmm.
the fantasy journey is harder. You got,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm thinking, okay, what's my next piece gonna be?
Right.
Like I'm doing my sketches and my drawings, and sometimes they evolve from my drawings, and sometimes I just have this vision in my head, and but to have someone come to me and say, hey, we have this story on something. They send me the manuscript, and I look at it, and they say, well, we're thinking about this, but you do whatever you want,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
So you enjoy the challenge of
I
kind
love
of
the
being
challenge.
confined by particular.
I'm all about
requests.
challenges. I love challenges.
Okay, that's interesting because I know that a lot of artists oftentimes have a hard time incorporating, whatever the commission, wants. And sometimes it's dissuading because, well, I think in the case of a lot of artists, the viewer, somebody who's interested in maybe purchasing some of your artwork, they might have a vision of what they think that you're capable of doing or what's within your style parameters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny to me sometimes, at least in my experience, what people will reach out to me and inquire. For me to want to take on as a commission, and sometimes I wonder, like, did you even really look at my art? Because I'm trying to figure out how did you come to think that I was the best person for this job. Now, it's nice when anybody wants to do that, right? But it's just funny how people, I guess, can sometimes perceive maybe from the outside in what you might be capable of.
Yeah, with the fine art, I've been lucky enough to have people, when I do a commission, they pretty much have do what I want,
Mm-hmm.
and they just want my look,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And,
however it fits into their.
yeah, but with the commercial art, it's different. They have a certain thing, but it's kind of funny, like you just said. Sometimes you'll get like a client.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like the way your this like airbrush looking style looks. Although, and then I also have like more linear styles and more watercolor looking styles, all digital.
Yeah.
But my fine art is all watercolor and ink,
Mm-hmm.
and or acrylic and ink on wood. But my commercial stuff is all digital because the final output's everything. How
Yeah.
we're gonna print it, and you want to have everything in layers. If you got to make changes, there's always gonna be something. Oh, can you like right now? I got something. This deck I did for H Street skateboards came out really killer, and comes back. Well, the writer, he's got sponsor for these earbuds. I forgot the name of the company, but we got to show the earbuds in there.
Oh, interesting.
So okay,
Kinda
great. I got to
last
put
minute
earbuds
thing.
in. Okay, that's fine. I'll
Yeah.
do it. It's like
Yeah.
digitally, it's not a problem.
Right, not a problem at all.
If I had to go back in there with watercolor and ink and stuff
Right.
and do something like that, I'd be like, "Are you kidding me?"
Not even worth it.
No,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It's like,
So before we get any farther, folks, I guess we're officially having a conversation. We have.
are we recording?
Yeah,
What?
we're live right now on all the things. We're live on all the things. Live in the Dad Pad in West Asheville. We have Fian Arroyo. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Or you can say Fian.
Fian. Okay, Fian.
Fian. It's all right.
Dude, thank
It's
you
all
so,
good.
so much for coming and checking
Yeah.
out. And if you guys are listening at this point in time, you don't even have to pause the podcast if you're streaming from Apple. You can just pull up your Instagram page and check it out. And that's Fian underscore Arroyo.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Or
for
if you're in
being
Puerto Rico,
here.
Arroyo.
Arroyo. I like that, man. I like
You got to
that.
roll those R's.
Yeah, I appreciate a good R roll growing up in Miami, and that's so cool. It's so cool that
You would know.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about Miami. Have you ever had the pleasure of checking out the Art Basel scene down there?
It's crazy because probably once, but never really. And I lived when I got married, my wife and I bought a house in Surfside, like it's right there, right next to Bal Harbor. You know that area on the beach.
Yep.
You know, we could walk to the beach from our house. Is awesome. And Art Basil's across the bridge, in which is now what is that called? With the whole art scene there.
Wynwood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And back then, when we moved here 11 years ago, back then it was like ghetto. It wasn't.
Oh, it is. It is.
And it wasn't like it is now.
Well, what's crazy is that with Art Basel is that it actually started at the convention center in Miami
That's
Beach.
right. Yeah.
And it grew.
That's where I went and saw
So
it.
you saw it in the convention
Yeah.
center the one time you're there, yeah. Which is, I mean, it's a huge convention center, and it really is kind of a who's who of whoever, you know, very typical Miami kind of art scene or just night scene in general, nightlife scene. You know what I mean? But since it's branched off so much, and all the things that are going on at all the satellite fairs and things like that, you know, have spilled over, and now it's kind of put the spotlight on Wynwood for being this, you know, the street art mecca.
Profiting from that, man.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I haven't been down there in a couple years. I was down there about 2.5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I got to, it was during Art Basel time, and I went to go visit family who I still have down there. But I was able to go step away and check out some of the stuff. And I will say, for anybody who hasn't gone, I mean, it's cool. I would say you might want to have somebody to show you around if that's at all possible. But I was there on a Friday night at Wynwood, and I remember Wu-Tang was playing that night at one of these warehouses. And for those who don't know, in Miami, the club scene there is very well. There's like clubs don't stay. They get a new name every like 5 or 6 months. It's basically somebody with enough money and capital will like come in and throw a party at a building, basically rent it for those 6 months, you know, and call it club this or whatever. And so here we have I'm walking through downtown downtown Miami, but in Wynwood in particular, and I see this line around a corner. Like, I've never seen a longer line for anything in my life, like 2 or 3 blocks long. And I had forgotten that Wu-Tang was here, was going to be playing that day, you know? So I'm walking through and I'm like, who the fuck is having an art? Is Banksy doing a show here that I didn't even hear about? Blah, blah, blah. And I keep walking. I'm like, still like, who could this be? And then I'm like, oh shit, it's Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
And then I asked somebody in the line, I was like, is this the line for Wu-Tang? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, holy shit, good luck.
What if
man.
it was like, is this line for Wu-Tang? No, this is Taco Bell, dude. What?
In Wynwood,
they got a new taco out.
But I've never seen such a long line in my life. But what I'm getting at is that there was probably 500, I will say like 500,000 people in downtown Wynwood. I couldn't even send a text to get it to like hang out with my friends. You know, I knew friends were in the area, you know, but
You'd never find them.
Couldn't find them. Couldn't send a text even to figure out where they're at. So I feel like it's an event that maybe, it's still probably worth checking out. But I don't know if it's maybe past its heyday. What's really interesting is a lot of people don't know about that is that one of the basically the first investors of the entire like Wynwood like revamp project is this dude, and I believe he's tied right to the gold. He's Goldman, I think he's next to tied to the Goldman Sachs company, but he basically is the same guy who built up Saks Fifth Avenue in New York, and he started buying all these properties in downtown Miami and Wynwood in order to make it this art haven. But what's interesting is in the main area in the Wynwood walls you have like you have all these really cool murals from all these famous muralist street artists from around the world, and one of the main ones there is Shepard Fairey, right? So you walk right in and you see a Shepard Fairey mural with the Dalai Lama and I forget who else, a couple other really important figures, but then there's one guy in the center of it all with this crazy cowboy hat. He looks totally out of place in this mirror. Like, who's this like, you know, rich guy with the cowboy hat, and it's like next to the Dalai Lama on this mural. Come to find out, because I listened to like a little tour that they were doing there, but it's the guy who started the whole, you know, Wynwood area, which is so interesting. It's cool. I think, a lot of people will think that it was like kind of a grassroots thing, and that's what I think. Well, no, there's actually a guy who came in and bought a lot of, who kind of like.
That's how it happens.
Exactly.
You know, especially in Miami, that's how it happens. You know,
exactly.
It's like, because I remember Wynwood. I used to go to Wynwood on a regular basis in that area because there's a skate park there, and I'm a skater.
Oh, nice.
And there's this. It's like in this warehouse, but they had this, and there's all the street skating there. And I'm an old school. I like bowls and pools. And,
cool.
But they had this metal half pipe out there, and I would skate that. And that's my recollection of Wynwood, because before all that happened, you know.
Oh,
and
sure.
and it's kind of crazy to think now that it's all this upscale stuff and the property values are like so freaking high.
Yeah,
man.
there's a couple like random little tiny like bits of a monopoly house left there. You know, they're holding on to the last bit, but you know they're gonna laugh all the way to the bank. Those houses, you know, it's just so funny because it's next to a multi-million-dollar high-rise condo that just went up in like 6 months. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's like that's Miami.
It's
man.
crazy.
It's like,
it's Miami, dude. Do you notice? At least I feel like I do. Being in the service industry, you see a lot of. I notice a lot of people love to visit up here from there in the Asheville, Western North Carolina area.
Yeah, because we want to get away from it, man. It's like that's why we moved here, man. It's like we lived in a great neighborhood, Surfside. We had our own police. We had walk to the beach from the house. Is awesome. But outside, it's Miami, dude. And I had my kids were younger then, I was going, and I was tired of I don't know how many times we had to like evacuate for hurricanes, man, run from hurricanes. And you're driving and you look in your rearview mirror and go, I might not see my house again, and just the cost of living there is insane. And then the insurance is insane. It's like, I think it's. Yeah. I went to go visit a buddy of mine in Texas, and he just bought this killer house on all this property. And, and Surfside's great, but everybody's packed in, all the houses, And I was thinking, man, it'd be great to have some room, man. I think we're gonna move. And my wife had a friend in Charlotte, and she goes, "Hey, man, why don't you come and check it out here in Charlotte?" We went to Charlotte. Man, you know what? This is like Ohio, man. It's like there's nothing special about it. I'm not leaving the beach.
I am not going to disagree with that.
And the best fishing in the world,
right,
for
a mediocre.
Yeah, man. So, and then she goes, you got to check out Asheville. It's really artsy and music.
No offense to charlatans.
I know, no offense.
Is that
I have friends in Charlotte.
Charlatans.
Charlatan.
Oh my god,
that is a cool name. Charlatans. I was a Charlotte person, I would say I'm a charlatan. Like I say, I'm a Weaver villain.
There you go. That's so funny. I think that was kind of maybe deserving of a sound.
Yeah, definitely.
Charlatan.
But so my wife's friend said, hey, go check out Asheville. It's like really artsy and music. It's really cool and hip. And we came.
And how long ago was that?
Probably 12 years ago.
Okay.
And we came and fell in love with it the first day. I mean, I saw the skate park, the food line. Oh my God, they got a skate park. And my wife used that as a carrot the whole time. They got a skate park. We got.
This wasn't the foundation one.
No, foundation wasn't even around, man. That long ago. No,
12 years ago. Okay.
And so we went back, tried to sell a house on our own, and that was when the market dropped. The big thing of 2009.
Oh, right.
And so we just decided to get a realtor. And finally, after we just got the realtor, it was crazy because within a few weeks, the realtor, hey, man, we got a buyer. And my wife and I tried to sell on our own for like a year. And the buyer, turned out that, oh, awesome, it's a cash deal. Well, are you kidding me? So it's like, great. And we didn't know until like before closing, it was Julio Iglesias that bought our house.
Get out.
Yeah, he bought it as a house for his employees because he lived 2 streets down on Indian Creek Island. He had his mansion.
That's crazy.
And he just bought it for his employees.
Damn.
And like in the house, my office was like behind the garage, like this maid's room, and I would have it as my office, And I guess my office now is like the head bouncer's.
That's so
bedroom
crazy.
So.
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't even know I didn't even get to meet him. I met his wife, Miranda. She's super cool.
Iglesias family, yeah.
But my wife got to meet Julio because she went after the closing to bring like the blueprints of the house to Miranda because she had a relationship with Miranda and she sees this big black Suburban there and she goes up to the car and she goes, hey, I'm looking for Miranda. And he goes, who's asking? And she goes, I'm Lisa. I'm the previous owner. Lisa! Oh, and he takes off his sunglasses. I'm Julio. And my wife's jaws just dropped to the ground. Oh, my God. It's Julio Iglesias.
For people who don't know, down in Miami, that's like royalty saying that name.
I know. It is because one time, I'll tell you what. I'm sorry to step on you.
No, you're not.
I'm going to forget.
I'll forget. Good.
But one time I was looking out my window in Surfside, and I see all these like motorcycle cops, Surfside motor cops outside my window. Because I lived right on a corner, and that led right up to Indian Creek, where he lived, like 2 streets down on this island. And I'm going, man, what's going on? So I walked out there, said, hey, and I knew some of the cops there, and I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? And they go, Julio Iglesias is having a private party, and we're just making sure that that everything's under control. I went, really? That's kind of weird. And
so you could hire the police as security.
Yeah, but then I said, okay, that's weird. So I went. That day I was going to go fishing, so I walked to the beach to fish. And at the beach, I saw like this helicopter flying in the air, and I was going, man, that is weird. What is that? Like just circling, right? So I went home. I said, I'm going to see what's going on. I went home, and as I got home, my wife goes, oh my God, President Clinton just drove by the house, and the motorcade.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the cops are there because the president was playing golf on Indian Creek, I think with Julio or.
Oh my God!
I was going, oh my God,
Man.
I missed the president.
The money and the wealth in that area, you forget sometimes.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
Not like I don't have that kind of money.
No, you're
but
talking a long
it's
time
like,
ago.
yeah, that's like
crazy, man. It's crazy to think about, how much money is in that area. I've been to a couple very posh parties and get-togethers, and it blows me away sometimes. Really, really does. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So, dude, let's switch gears a little bit, man. I want to talk, obviously, first of all, about your art. For those who have not seen it, it's really a highly illustrative storybook telling kind of character illustrations is the best way I can describe it. And I would say that I wish that I would have had access to illustration books and things like this when I was a kid, because even looking at it today, it conjures up all these like fantastic like images and thoughts and feelings about the kind of story that you're trying to tell behind the artwork. Tell us a little bit, how would you describe your style? Let's start there.
My style, the basic part of my style is I love line work.
Mm-hmm.
I love the engraving. And I'm caught in the two worlds of like the tight engraving look and the just looser line work,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I fluctuate between the two, and I love line. It's like, and
Mm-hmm.
so, and I've worked in different mediums before, but always gravitates back to watercolor and ink.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to have line,
Mm-hmm.
and I think expression of line for me is very important, and like I'll be working on a piece, like I just finished something I was working on today, and it really doesn't come together until I do the finishing line work on it, and comes together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's highly influenced by the classic illustration. Some of it doesn't look like what I do, like the classic illustrators like N.C. Wyeth or J.C. Leyendecker, and even contemporary guys like Peter Deceive, but it's I guess based like online.
That's interesting. When did you notice that? Because I know for a lot of people,
but I love Frank Frazetta. I'm sorry, but
you're
I
good.
love Frank Frazetta. It's like he influenced me the most. Like I said earlier,
Unfortunately, I'm unfamiliar with all these dudes, but I'll have to leave here with the
Frank
list.
Frazetta is the king of fantasy art.
Okay.
You'll see. He's like the Molly
probably-
Hatchet. The first time I saw like a Molly Hatchet cover, holy shit!
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay, I think that kind of rings a bell.
But
so when did you realize that for you in particular, like the line work was what you like tended to favor in the creative process, or maybe even the outcome? Because that's a really interesting thing to kind of zero in on that you like about your process or your art.
It's a drawing process. I love drawing. I love the variety in line you can get. And the different things you can do with crosshatch, hatch, or and more of an engraved kind of look. Thick to thin, or there's a lot of things you can do, expression you can create with line, and when my work, I don't do it with line and just fill in with color as a fill, they work together. Like my line, take the line work out and it works completely as a piece of color art, they work together. Like I start my piece with an outline of what I want to do, and then I start doing the initial colors, and then I'll do the value, and my work has tons of layers, it's layers of diluted color building up. And then I'll just add more line work, more color, and then more line work. Because I like it. You see some line work that's underneath color, and then you see fresh line work on top of it. It gives depth to it, and it's what drives me. I love that. I mean, I'm not like I don't think I could do. I mean, I could. I've done it in the past. I've done like realistic, more painting, but it's not me. You've got to do stuff and that is you. And I've heard it from people that buy my art. that they meet me at a show or something and go and look at something and then go, oh my God, you. And once they start talking to me and get to meet me, you are your art.
That's
crazy.
Crazy.
It comes through your art.
That's so
and
cool.
that's how that's when you've
kind of hit on something.
Yes, you're expressing yourself in the right way.
That's so cool, man. Because I would have to say that all those things you say there are really important in the creative process for sure. But I think it's really interesting to boil it down to the line work itself. And I think, at least in my case in particular, that's kind of in some degree the part of the art that I like is the creation of the lines itself. And I realized that in developing my own kind of style, like a lot of the basis for my own artwork and then kind of evolving my own artwork has to do with creating the same lines and shapes and feelings that I like over and over again. And it's almost like an OCD thing where it's like, I don't know.
I definitely have OCD.
Okay. That's cool that you say that. Cause like, I would kind of describe my process a similar way where it's like, for whatever reason, you like drawing this shape. It feels good when you do the line, and honestly, sometimes it's as simple as that to why I like, to create a art piece a certain way, just because I don't know, there's some pleasure that I get, in creating a certain line. So that's cool that you say.
Well, that's cool that
you
say that thing. Because I'm gonna tell you, like, when I talk on the phone, or I do a lot of air drawing with my finger. I don't know if you may notice me once in a while. My fingers moving. Okay. That I'm drawing these particular imagery that you don't see in my art. It's more fluid line work with a lot of overlapping folds and stuff. And when I'm on the phone talking, I'm mindless doodling that stuff like that, distorted faces with all these, like, that's not really my work, but I guess the integrity of the line shows in my work, but not to that extreme. That is, I guess, my true form, my true art. But maybe one day I'll show some of that.
That's cool. I would say, you should definitely go for that. Why not? But I was going to ask to kind of like expand upon that now. And coming from my own personal experience in trying to create, I think it's there's a part of the creative process in which, at least I notice when I succumb to it, it almost becomes, and for lack of a better word, being hokey and whatever, or whatever it is, it's like I become a kind of a weird channel for something in a weird way, and oftentimes I find myself, if I'm kind of just like letting go and like seeing what happens, you know what I mean, and not really being in control of it and just doing those things, that oftentimes I have like the best kind of outcomes in things, or oftentimes I think like things will show up in my drawings or paintings where I'm like, oh, like that's interesting. I wonder if this little creature is popping in to say hi. Do you ever experience anything like that?
Yeah, if I'm sketching, and things sometimes formulate, when you're sketching or drawing. But it's, for me, maybe I'm too much of a control freak when it comes to my work.
Well, tell me a little bit about how you conceptualize, just in general, like these really crazy, like highly fantasized character artwork. It seems like you, at this point in time, it seems like you kind of have maybe, and you tell me, but like an arsenal of characters, or kind of like, I don't know, these fundamental bases that you kind of build upon.
Well, that's pretty much it. Fundamental bases.
Yeah, like the dragon really features, or
like curled horns. Yeah, I love drawing horns. And any kind of, and I've always liked the main thing. Like when I first started doing this, I'll just backtrack a little bit. Please. Like back in 2014. I want to do something different just besides doing illustration. I want to get away from the computer. So I started going back to where it all began, fantasy art, and I started doing these watercolor and ink things. And a photographer friend of mine said, hey, man, you could probably like sell your stuff online, set up an Etsy shop, and get them printed like at Henko. So I went to Henko.
Now, were you practicing artists at that point in time? Like as far as like just had your main income and soul?
Is all illustration.
All illustration the whole time.
And so I went, go ahead. What?
No, I was going to say this person was trying to help you expand into
because I was going to go, look, I want to do some stuff on my own stuff, get away from the computer once in a while, draw my own stuff, and maybe sell it on Etsy or something. And he introduced me to Will at Henko. And
shout out Henko.
Yeah, man. It's like they
awesome
do great
company.
work.
Yeah.
And also go do stuff with Josh Niven too at Fine Art, Asheville Fine Art. But share the love.
Shout out to all the local art supplies.
And But Will was great, man. He introduced me to Zapow, which is the first gallery.
Shout
to get
out
in.
Zapow, man.
Yeah.
And also a moment of silence real quick
I know.
for them because they're unfortunately not going to be able to make it through this hardship time.
No,
But sorry
and
to
I feel sorry for
digress
Lauren
there.
and all
Yeah,
them,
Lauren's
you
a
know what I'm
great person. It was really, I had a really fun experience there as well.
I learned a lot from her, and from being there, and that was the very beginning. That's where it started, and it just spiraled up, and started getting more galleries, and then I started doing shows, met people through Zapow, like that did shows and stuff, like, I guess submitted work for the first time to Dragon Con, got in. So I was like, been going to Dragon Con ever since.
So awesome.
Been doing Dragon Con ever since. And then other shows. And it's just, for me, I didn't know any of these fantasy artists or anything. I didn't know the world. I got in just blindly,
That's
and
so cool.
Started like picking up, knowing who's who, and as I went, and go, oh, that's so-and-so. Or they would like befriend me, and I go, oh, and then I find out, oh man, you're like so-and-so.
That's
but
so cool.
It was like, it's a really cool thing. But it was kind of weird that I didn't do my homework beforehand.
In what regard?
And I just felt not knowing it. Just I'm going to apply for the show. I'm going to go in the gallery. I'm going to start doing gallery stuff. And I really just went in everything blindly, but it all just started picking up and going great. It's like, and then for instance, I back in like 2015 maybe I applied. I submitted to Spectrum, which Spectrum is like the premier awards book for fantasy art in the world. And a fellow artist said, "Hey man, you should apply to Spectrum." Whatever. Maybe if it's like Society of Illustrators, which I've gotten in a couple times in New York and LA. And I thought, I'll try it. So I did that, and I got in. The first time I said, "Oh, that's cool." But then I didn't realize how awesome it was until somebody goes, "You got in the Spectrum? Oh my god,
that's so cool."
And then I'm thinking, "Oh, cool." But then you're thinking, "Oh, man, I can get in anytime I want." I didn't get in until 4 years later again.
Oh, really? Oh, it's an annual thing, huh?
Yeah, so it's a tough thing to get into. It's
that's
like
so interesting.
And like the shows are the same way. Some shows are really hard to get into, and like this year, unfortunately for COVID, I applied to the San Diego Comic-Con, which is the Mac Daddy Omar.
Yeah.
And people go, I don't even apply because you got to know somebody to get in.
No
and
shit.
Many people were saying that, and I said, I'm going to apply anyway. I don't care.
Yeah, what do you got to lose?
Yeah, what I got to lose? Exactly. And then I got, but I didn't really. Maybe I didn't answer an email. Some emails, I was getting emails like exhibitor housing and stuff, and I'm going, oh, why does this apply to me? And then I got like an email like a couple months ago. Hey, you're in the show, but we're not doing it this year, but we're gonna have a virtual one. I went, what? I'm
so
in?
Funny.
What?
That's
I was like, oh my god, I almost blew it.
In true artist fashion.
But I'll be there. But this I'm rolled over for next year. So
how
I'll
does
be there
it
next year.
How does it work for this year with the virtual?
Well, they just had it where they had like they're on live online. There's a PDF of like the floors, how you would be on the floor.
Okay.
And then just click through that. Your name is on the roster of Artist Alley.
Oh, that's
and they click
cool.
on that, and it goes to what you have to offer, and then it goes to your website. I got some print sales out of it, but it's not like nowhere near like the real thing. Being there, talking to people, and the sales, and
yeah.
But and Dragon Con is going to be like that this year, but they're going to have it differently. In fact, I got to do that this week. They have it where you set up through this company, and everybody could do their checkout from all the different artists for one checkout. It's not you have to go all these different websites.
Oh, that's smart.
So it'll be pretty cool. Yeah.
So that's so cool because I definitely wanted to touch base on that because I noticed that you definitely make your presence known at a lot of conventions. So it's interesting to hear how you kind of transition with the help of getting introduced to certain right people and then started transitioning to these conventions. How has your experience with those been as far as like the business marketing aspect, being like you're saying, being present there to put a name on a face, and then also do you have anybody there to help you like when it comes to like inventory and things like that? Because I know a lot of us artists we don't suffer from it, but we just choose to focus more on our creative than our business, because we're creative at heart. We can apply it to the business, but we just like to create. But
of course.
But how has that all been for you?
Well,
any tips, tricks for those who may be looking into doing like consistent vending like that? Or?
Yeah, well, what was the very first thing you said about that? It's like,
Well, just like as far as like how's the transition been for like being present in that kind of environment, putting a face to it all, and then like the business side of like the inventories and all that.
It's like being in a rock band. Like touring. Meeting people to like collecting the fan base. To people I'm not going to see. Like people can come into Asheville, go to the galleries, and be exposed to my work. Yeah. Or they can go to Eluvium, be exposed to my work, and buy prints and or contact me for original art. But it's kind of like going out, like paying your dues, going out, traveling, which is fun. It's like, oh yeah, it's a vacation, man. Going on, and I love talking to people. I'll get out of the studio, and I'm pretty extroverted in some ways, and go out and get when people meet you, they get to see the personality, because people like to buy the artist.
We literally just had this conversation the other day with with another artist friend off air. There's something about that human connection.
Yeah, they want a personal connection with that artist, because there's been times like at a show where somebody's walking, they're looking at my table going, and I can understand, but if I'm on a show, you kind of don't want to commit to going in unless you're sure. Right. Some people go, boom, zoom right in. Oh, I love this. Some people are going, oh, let me see. And there's been times when I go, hey, man, come on in. I don't bite. Right. And they come in and start looking. They start talking to me. And next thing you know, oh, you know what? I'm going to get this, and cool, this. Yeah. And, because they connect with the artist, man. So cool. And it's very important. Yeah. And that's why at Eluvium, like I live right down the street from there.
Yeah. Tell us about that. So Eluvium Brewing up in Weaverville.
Yeah. So
they've been open for how long now?
Probably like 2 years.
Okay.
We're almost coming on 3.
Cool.
And I do the anniversary T-shirts. I'm about to designing the new one now.
Cool.
And like the first one sold like in 3 days, man. There's a limited edition, like 50.
Nice.
But I have it where if somebody buys a print, I get a notification on Square. Hey, someone just bought a print. Whoa, bought something. Usually they'll text me. If not, if I don't get a text from them, I just call them up. Hey, man, somebody just buy a print? Right. Or some prints or whatever. And they go, yeah. So I'll run down there, because I'm right there, and give me an excuse to get out of that studio. And I'll meet them and get a beer. Yeah, sure. And make it special, because it's like, where else can you go to a brewery, buy some art, and they contact the artist? He comes down and signs it for you and gets to meet you and have a beer with you or talk and
that doesn't happen.
Have a couple laughs. Man, it's like, it makes it very special. Yeah. And I'm blessed to have that opportunity.
That's so cool. And it's definitely a beauty of this technological age that we're in, where you get notified directly on your phone when somebody purchases something, but then you can that gives you the opportunity to go to them in person and be like, hey, thank you so much. I'd be happy to sign this person. You can meet the artist. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I'm literally a block away. So
there's something to definitely be said to that connection, and it's an interesting one, because I don't know that a lot of people would say the same kind of a thing for musicians. I think that a lot of the time I've heard like the reverse of maybe what, like, you always hear like don't meet your heroes or things like that, or stuff like that. Yeah. And you hear about like really a lot of stories where the musician didn't necessarily live up to the personality that you might think that they perceive, that you perceive that they portray in person, But I don't really ever hear that for artists, for live.
I'm sure there are people that are like,
I'm sure there are
douches,
I'm sure there are. It's just.
I think it happens more in music,
I think it does happen more in music. That's where I hear it mostly. But I'd like to think that most artists, At least in my case in particular, if somebody wants to meet me, that's really exciting, because most of the time I'm sure you're the same. We're here in our little studio, just like, looking out the window,
drawing
away, just sitting there,
But I was gonna add that what I think is pretty important is, like at Eluvium, there's a framed 2-page spread. I was in Asheville Made last year or something.
Oh, cool!
So I framed that and I put it with my prints on the wall, wood prints, and so people can see me. And on the back of all my prints, I have like my Chaglet prints or my prints on wood or metal prints, whatever, or originals. There's always like a postcard with my artist statement, bio, and a picture of me and all my contact stuff. So I always want to have like a picture online on my website, picture of me. So people like to associate a face with the art,
That's so true.
And I've had so many times, like at Eluvium or my Zebulon or even downtown, some people come up to me, hey, you're that artist. You're the artist. I bought one of your prints. And it's like, they make that facial connection, and say, yeah, that's me. Hey,
it's crazy.
It's very important to do that for a branding.
It is. It is. And I, again, thinking back to this conversation I had with another artist off air after we had a podcast chat, but there's that connection. Going back to it is, for example, I met you the other day, or a couple weeks back, through Julie Armbruster, who came in and did a podcast like a couple days prior to that. But the only reason why I knew you was, I assume just because of your proximity to Julie and I know her, but then also because you put some photos on your, on your Instagram.
I know, but I saw you at Taco Billy's. But I didn't know. Wait, when you said to me, you said, Fian, and went, and you go, hey, it's Braxton, oh. But you knew Julie. I think you said, hey, Julie, do you know?
Yeah.
You guys know each other?
I knew. I knew it was you. I just figured by, proximity, but it's just this. It's a really interesting thing, at least for me, and I know a lot of artists I've had private talks with, to navigate the world of like putting yourself out there in the social media space, right? And promoting yourself and having and learning confidence within that. It's this really weird thing that I think is contrary to what a lot of artists are feeling comfortable to do. You know what I mean? A lot of artists I speak with feel like they very much have their artistic side and not so much the business side. And I think that has a lot to do with, the right brain, creative, versus the left brain, logical. It makes sense when you think about it in that regard. So it's this really interesting, conundrum to have this platform in which you have, it's there for you to promote yourself, but even still to have, have self-doubt even about doing so. And as I do it sometimes, like I was saying, I wanted to start a hashtag that was more art, less your face. Like it's a very brash way of saying it, but I notice a trend now where a lot of artists want to post pictures of themselves with their paintings. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Me personally, I'd prefer to digest the artwork that I'm seeing and viewing first and foremost in order to have my opinions and feelings about it before I witness the artist who created it. And when I see the two together, I don't like it. And I made this analogy to almost like, not that I don't like it, but I prefer it without it. But I made this analogy to listening to like instrumental music, right? I love instrumental music, and I'm oftentimes listening more often to instrumental music than music that has actual lyrics in it, and words. And the reason being is because when I'm able to listen and experience this music without words, I'm able to have my own interpersonal experience and my own feelings about it. And I don't have words or lyrics, inferring what it is that I should be experiencing because it's telling me to do so. So you can have a beautiful song that maybe without the words might make you feel a certain way, but then you throw the musician throws the words on top, and it kind of like, it might be something completely different to what you might be experiencing your own self to the music. Yeah. So that's kind of my anecdote. That's kind of what I'm comparing it to with, when you see, I would much rather prefer to see the art first without the artist, because I'm able to really have this authentic experience with it first and foremost, and not be, subconsciously influenced by, maybe just the bizarre egoic things that we have going on in our head, like, start like judging a person by the way they look, which is like a human nature kind of thing.
Yeah, like, what a shitty haircut.
Right, we always try to do better. Like, you wore that for that photo? Like, who gives a shit? They're an artist.
Cut your hair.
They should have worn something crazy. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, so yeah, it's just weird, interesting thing that I've started to think about more recently, and it's I don't know, for what it's worth, it's just an interesting thought. But when you look at social media like a branding platform, why wouldn't you do that? Because
that's why I have my face on my Instagram thing, on my Facebook.
Yeah, and
then like going back to what you just said, like it would be kind of cool, like if you're going to show a piece of art, and I haven't done it, but I may now, like show a new piece of art. And then maybe show, like, swipe at the very end, and you see the art. It could be holding the print of it, or the original.
I like that.
But you show the art itself because it's its own entity, you know? And then you show the art and creator,
the process,
at the very
or
end,
the creator, or where it weaves all.
But that's that's a really good idea.
Makes sense what I'm saying.
People like this. See, that's why on Instagram I just show my art. You
do.
I hardly ever show any personal stuff about my kids or anything. I do that on Facebook, and Facebook is more like that. I'll show my art too, but it's more, Facebook is more, people want to see more of you and your family and stuff. And they share art too, but Instagram is more, I guess, for an artist as a marketing tool. It's a great marketing tool because it's free.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't have to have postcards made and mail them out, but I still do once in a while.
Like the old school, like postcards.
Yeah, because now it's a novelty.
Yeah.
People get something to
man.
oh, wow, I got a postcard.
One of your cool little pieces are on a little postcard, man. That's awesome.
Now
I like that.
Now it's the shit.
Yeah.
It's like but back in the day, it's like before all that, it's like, ad agencies and designers are getting inundated with that crap.
Yeah.
Oh God, it just got lost in the flood.
Yeah. So, dude, let's talk a little bit about let's just talk about the different ways in which you like to reproduce your art or have your art featured on different surface mediums. We touched a little bit about all the different things that you do, but I wanted to ask you personally: do you ever have you actually created a full children's storybook?
Yeah, I've done several.
Okay, I thought
books.
you.
There's
would
one
say
out
that.
now that just came out for middle school level.
Yeah, is it on a website or anything?
It's Red Chair Press has it. It's called Second Summer Dad or
Okay.
Second Dad Summer. I always get the.
Now, have you ever considered pursuing, or maybe having somebody do it on your behalf, pursuing those? I mean, and I mean this in a those I would always remember these Pulitzer Prize winning illustrative books where I was always most fond of. Have you ever tried to go down that route as far as what your illustrations have to offer? Because I really do feel that they're on that caliber, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, most definitely.
Not for the stuff I do. For fantasy stuff, maybe that could be a direction soon. Most of the stuff I've done for kids stuff in the past, the kids market, has been more the digital humor, fun stuff.
Okay.
Not like the fantasy type. And I know where you're going,
So
where the wild things are type thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
God, who wasn't influenced by that, or Dr.
Right.
Seuss,
Well,
or something.
well, that's what I'm saying, man. I can't drive the point home strong enough. You have, and me having a 6-year-old, right? So we're definitely still reading storybooks every day.
You're right in the heart of it.
We're loving it. I'll tell you a quick little anecdote. Actually, you said you grew up on comic books and whatever. My neighbor, he's like, hey, would you and Enzo want to? Would you guys like some comic books to read? I was like, yeah, man, sure, why not? We'd love that.
Yeah.
Now, granted, now that I'm reading some of them, I have to scan them because some are a little bit racy or adult themed. And I noticed I have to change some of the words or whatever, but it's just interesting. But anyway, so I'm right in all of that, and your work really just man, I think there's certain books that I read to him where I find myself in awe in the presence of the illustrations, and I really try to put myself in the kid's position to try to think of what I would have been imagining or what kind of things that would have conjured up in my head. Yeah. So there's some of his books that I have I probably won't ever get rid of, only because they inspired
I have a collection
me,
myself,
you know, and I really wish that I had access to illustrations like that when I was younger. It's just awesome, man. It's really, really beautiful stuff, and
thanks.
I love it. It's so much. I would love to see you take that kind of medieval imagery and turn that into you say you haven't quite done that with the storybook yet.
Not yet, but you never know, it could happen. You know, it's push myself for that, but
is it fruitful? Is it profitable for you? Or
children's books are great.
Okay, cool.
It's I just finished one during the quarantine. I was busy during the quarantine, really busy. I didn't even have any time for to enjoy the quarantine vacation. It's right. I was busting my ass.
Yeah,
man.
good for you.
Get this book done, and then I had this client in California, which is a sweet gig every spring. I got from January to June to do industry specific greeting cards, and they're usually for Christmas and stuff, and Christmas in the spring, but for electrical or plumbing or construction or whatever, but my fun twist to it. And I do. They usually give me an idea, and I just bounce. That's cool. Okay, or how about this? And then as soon as I'm done with it, they send me another one. So it's I'm done. I do as many as I can, plus doing that children's book, and plus trying to get my own personal stuff done. So I was busting the hump. And I just got back, when this whole pandemic started, I just got back from Chicago, from C2E2. It's a big con in Chicago. And it's in the biggest convention center in North America. And you're in a building with 100,000 people. It's a great show, and that's when it's like the end of February, beginning of March, and people were starting to wear masks, and we were doing our hand sanitizer, and I'm going, oh man, this might be like a little more serious than we thought. Because my daughter, she's a freshman now at ECU, and she was telling me she was freaking out like a month before that, going, Dad, this is virus coming from China, and I actually was a dick. I was going, you know what? I think you're being a little paranoid, and this is like really starting to scare me. This is almost like being a hypochondriac. It's like you better like chill out, because all you're talking about is this, and it turns out that she was right. And I actually, after it kicked in, I said, look, I pulled her aside and said, like, I'm sorry. I really, you were right. You saw the writing on the wall, and I'm so sorry I said that to you. I was just worried that you're becoming a hypochondriac or something, but you saw what was happening, man. Yeah. It's like nobody I knew saw this. She did.
I definitely didn't. I came in one weekend, and everybody was holding sanitizer wipes at my work, like they were all just had the plague, and I was like, "What is going? Is this about that Corona thing?"
It happened in a week. In a week, man. It was like
that's my Corona. Yeah, but no, I went into work one weekend, and it was just like everybody washing their hands, bathing in sanitizer, and
don't get too close to me.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, is this that thing that I had heard randomly about a story about like a month ago? Because I don't have TV, proudly. But so I'm like, I have no idea. And then next thing you know, the following week, I don't even think I've finished the whole week. They're just like, no, we're closed. So it's crazy how the onset kind of happened.
It came
but
fast.
Yeah, some people apparently did have it on their radar, back then.
Yeah, she had it way before anybody else. And
that's so crazy.
I know it is crazy, and it's just like, well, for me. And it wasn't anything different for me. It's like I'm always, I'm in my studio, and like artists, we're always in a studio working. We live a life of like moles. We live in our little holes,
kind of
and
weird
we're
sometimes.
Cranking out art, but for me, it's like I didn't have to go to work because I work from my home studio, but I'm a social person. On Friday and Saturday, and maybe a couple of days during the week, I like to go to Zebulon or Eluvium and have a beer, see my buddies.
I'm the same.
And I couldn't do the same. I couldn't do it. I was going, oh my God.
Yeah.
I got to be in the house now 24/7.
It's weird. I'll tell you what, I've done more Instagram live videos in the last 5 months, and then I have
I'm so nervous of doing that. It's like
before.
Do a live video and you're fuck up or something.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess I don't care. It's for me. It's just pushing paint around, but also it's like an opportunity to just speak with somebody. Honestly, it comes to that point. It's like, thank God we do have the internet at the very least for that, thank God that we have opportunity to talk to each other in this kind of a scenario. I'm super grateful for that. But I agree with you. I am more of a type A people person. So it's weird to have this coupled with.
It really fucked with my head. Yeah, I couldn't go out and and just socialize. And now things are a little more relaxed, but people are being more careful. Are being careful, wearing a mask, keeping their distance. And which is good. Yeah. There's some semblance of normalcy to a point,
Yeah.
But it was, in general, it's not much different for an artist.
Yeah,
quarantine life.
It kind of is. It's kind of magnified that artist lifestyle for me. Honestly, I realize, I'm sitting here again. But, anyways, that kind of segues me into a weird way into the local story of the day. I usually have it, and I kind of just throw it in randomly. But today's local story that I had was this one where the Buncombe County Health Board decided that they wanted to. They had this little blip about it in the Mountain Express, but essentially the title of the article, and I'll just read the title, was "Crisis Inside Crisis: Pandemic Stresses Buncombe Opioid Response." And then essentially it shows a picture of, I'll read it, staff and volunteers with the Buncombe County Health and Human Services offered mobile distribution of syringes and other supplies after COVID-19 disrupted normal operations. So,
what?
So this is interesting. And let me preface this.
For diabetics?
No, for heroin and opioid users.
So you guys are like, so the COVID is hampering your drug addiction. So we're going to help you facilitate that better during this situation.
That's kind of where I'm like, maybe, people definitely talk about defunding the
Is
police.
this real?
Is
this real? Is this real?
Yeah, this is 100% real.
This is like, I can't believe
but
that.
not only is it real, it also made the Mountain Express as like, and look, let me preface before I get into what I have to say about it.
Yeah.
Like I look at anybody who has any kind of addiction as a social issue. That's a social condition. And I think that if somebody wants to use whatever substance they want to use, by all means, they should have the freedom to do so as long as they're not harming anybody else. That's it. That's all I got to say about that. That being said, if you want to provide, if you look at it like in certain areas like Vancouver and other places in Europe, Portugal, they have safe places for people to use, and they give out syringes so people don't have the likelihood to transmit diseases, HIV and the like. Right? We're not questioning. I don't think that anybody should be punished with another disease from having another disease, right? Addiction is a disease no matter what. And if somebody is working through their addiction, they should have access to safe means to do so in order to do so. But, so all that being said, I just don't understand how in this time of crisis, why would this be such a prescient issue, so much so that Mountain Express would want to cover the fact that Buncombe County Health has reinstated their syringe pickup or syringe exchange that they're offering for, drug users. It's a really interesting thing.
Well, you think like they take this opportunity, like, hey man, maybe they can straighten out. These people have an opportunity to straighten themselves out during this time. Yeah. Well, there's no access to the needles. Well, it's going to be tough for some of them going, But hey, it could lead their life into being free of this addiction.
Sure.
And
this could be an opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But to facilitate it for them and keep it going.
Yeah.
It's really, in my opinion, this is my opinion.
Yes.
I think it's not right. I think they should. This could, for some people, this may be like a godsend. Oh,
right.
I can maybe like get off this finally. And,
right.
Because it's not easy to get now. I can't get the needles or whatever I need.
Right, and maybe I shouldn't be sharing a needle with Johnny, who's I don't know who that person is. That's definitely one aspect to it. I think it can be viewed for those who with eyes to see as well. This is a blessing, and maybe you should reevaluate your life. I know a lot of us have taken the time to have introspection on the way that we live and the things that we do in our day-to-day lives, and I think it's an important aspect of the time we're going through. But what I also wanted to say about it is that it's like, this is Buncombe County Health. It's like, this should be on one of the lowest rings, the lowest tiers of health priorities at this point in time. Why not take half of that money, okay, and offer probiotics, vitamin D's and C's, things that can boost and help people's immunity? Why not take those resources
I totally agree.
and have a class where people can learn how to, just build their immune system or whatever the case may be? Why are you taking the resources and then, because I know this is such a prescient thing at this point in time, right? Well, obviously this has nothing to do with defund police, but just reallocating resources. You would think that would be like, top down thing. It should be applied every single facet of any kind of government organization. That would include the Buncombe County Health. Like, why is this important? Not only, I don't even care that they're doing it. Again, I think it's nice for people to have the opportunity to use safely if they want to.
There's also the opportunity to kick it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I just don't understand why it even need to be important enough to
that's
mention
like
in the Mountain Express.
Now I'm going, man, what?
I know. I mean, and I guess maybe in this, in this time, they're probably looking for more and more things to. Or I'm sure it's probably getting more and more difficult to find things to maybe write about. I don't know, but
and everything now is not as much as before, but everything's all about COVID. Get all the headlines, everything about COVID. And it's and always things changing and stuff. Gotta make the splash.
Where's the little storm?
What?
I didn't want to work. That's all right. Sometimes this thing shuts.
I'll do it.
But no, it's true. It's just funny that I just thought that was interesting. That was interesting enough of a point that they wanted to include that in Express. Because we wouldn't even be talking about it if they did it and they didn't put it in there. But I don't know.
No, they probably had something like, okay, here's another thing about COVID, or hey, needles. Hey, let's do the needles. We're real oversaturated with the COVID stuff. All right.
Yeah, it's interesting because right across the street from me is the anarchist bookstore, Firestorm, and they have a bunch of great literature.
Do they have records there? Like albums?
They don't. No, but you find that at Harvey's right down the road.
Yeah, but they're not. They're closed.
Yeah, they were doing like record delivery and drop off, which is so cool. It's so funny.
It's cool, but it's like,
cool.
but it's on
Who needs that cut that bad, right?
Yeah, but it's on the remastered stuff. It's not like on the used stuff.
Right.
So it's like.
Yeah, the good finds, right? But anyways, they had Firestorm's not far from me here, and there was a big last summer. I don't know if you remember if you were around West Asheville much, but essentially like outside Firestorm became like a commune, like a place for people to gather. It still is. You can drive by there any time of the day or night really, and see somebody sleeping there or reading there. Sometimes people bring food and meals over there, so it's kind of become like. A community haven for those who don't, have as much.
Like for the homeless.
Yeah, essentially the homeless or however they choose to define themselves, because I'm sure a lot of people are having a lot of fun and chose to do that, whatever it is. But, there was a whole point where last summer where they were just like, it looked like a straight up commune, like going on right in the side area of the Firestorm book. And I thought it was funny because I had driven home from work, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. Some days, and it looks like there's a party just going on the side of the Firestorm books, and then as a result of it, what started happening is like these spent syringes started showing up in and around this neighborhood, and my son goes to school in this neighborhood, so it's this weird thing where it's just like. Again, like I'm very much for the freedom of somebody to do whatever. I don't want to tell you what to do with your life, but
to a point.
Yeah, here's that point. Yeah, exactly. Where it can damage or harm somebody else.
Shoot, yeah, kids.
And leaving a syringe in a school, it's just like,
oh my God, like, you're like scaring the shit out of me. Being a father. Yes. Although my kids are not kids anymore, but that would be like, oh my God, they get picked. Hey, what's this? Oh no, I just pricked myself with a needle.
Oh, dude, I can't even.
Oh my God,
that'd be a horrible scenario. So anyway, they kind of hit close to home here last year. It's not the first time I've heard of this. The needle exchanges. And again, I like the progressive approaches that places like Vancouver and Portugal are taking. In Vancouver, if you want to use, you can use it in a safe space, right? And then you can, and then what you have to do is agree to counseling for like an hour or something after.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they give you the space, and I think they give you actually an allotment of dope, which is probably not good. I don't know.
They actually supply them.
I'm pretty sure in Vancouver they do.
Really?
Yeah, they get their daily dose. If they're on this one program, they get like a daily dose. But that's the part of it. They have to come in, they get their safe space to use, they get high, and then they have to agree to counseling after the fact. So
but
that's probably
they're just like
they're
tuning out, like during the counseling. Can't wait to get out so they get their next shot.
It's interesting. I'll tell you what, the drug war hasn't worked thus far. So I like alternative approaches to kind of social issues like that, and why not try it? And I'm pretty sure that the user rate and deaths from overdoses have gone dramatically down in.
I hope
like
so.
That. Yeah,
I don't know anything about any statistics.
I'm pretty sure they've gone down like upwards of 40% or more
really?
in areas that have basically decriminalized drugs like hard drugs like opium and heroin and things like that. So food for thought. But hey, man, let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about. We talked about your music. We talked about music a little bit, but I know you're saying you do some music project with the owners of Zebulon, right?
Yeah, we have I guess it's like a hard rock 80s metal.
I was just gonna ask you what kind of music it was.
And it's like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin,
nice,
stuff
dude.
like that.
What do you play?
I'm the lead singer and lead guitarist.
Do you guys do any like gigging around prior to all this?
Not yet. We just
is that the goal
for the longest? Yeah, at some point, yeah. But
play
we just
for some
love
friends.
having fun, and we just got a drummer recently. It's been the longest. The drummers are like really the hardest thing to find.
Are they?
Yeah, it's like man, and so we just recently had a drummer and starting to go over stuff now, and we did practice yesterday, and it's great practicing in a brewery. Yeah, it's like
that's so
drinking
cool.
a beer.
That's awesome.
Practice playing music.
Cool.
It's not rock unless you're drinking beer.
Yeah, hey.
And I've always been in bands. I've always been since college. And it's fun. It's a great way to God, I just like the simplest word just slipped out of my head.
Express yourself.
Express yourself.
Yeah. There you
Besides
go.
artistically,
such a common word. Yeah.
And I've always loved guitar, but if I had my choice, I'd just like to be the lead guitarist. I mean, the lead singer.
That's awesome.
Instead of having to do both, lead guitar and sing.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's
they want me to be the lead guitarist too. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, you'll be all right. That's awesome. Yeah. So what kind of musical influences do you have overall, like growing up through the years currently, or that stuck out when you were growing up?
Shoot, man. bands like from Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, and bands like Diamond Head or Def Leppard, early Def Leppard, and just the Black Sabbath.
Cool. Yeah. Classic
The
rock.
classic stuff.
Yeah, and then so as far as any kind of influences or inspirations that you currently have regarding the arts world, like any contemporary artists that really excite you.
Yeah, man. I like I said earlier, like illustration, like Peter Deceive is like a contemporary guy. He does a lot of the character development for like Blue Sky, I think, for a lot of the movies out there.
Okay.
Animated movies. And then also like James Jean, of course. That guy's amazing.
I don't know these guys.
If you don't know James Jean, oh my God, look up James Jean.
You're going to leave me with a list before I leave here. That's awesome.
But those are the two contemporaries. But then I'm mainly influenced by, like I said, like the oldies.
Nice.
And
where does the skate influence come in? I'm sure you must have had like some kind of punk influence at some point. Or
well, I've been a skater all my life, you know, and it's I do a lot of work now for 8th Street Skateboards, and 8th Street is like Tony Magnuson, who's like a famous skateboarder from back in the day from Sweden, and started 8th Street, was an iconic old school company. Skateboard company that had a resurgence.
Oh, cool!
I guess like 10 years ago or more, a little more than that. And a friend of mine back in Miami, in Miami, we used to skate this private bowl called Hollywood, and it was like built by this rich guy,
damn, that's a good
lawyer,
name.
and Hollywood. I know, it's in Hollywood.
Oh, nice, Hollywood, Florida, nice.
And it's like a family, we'd skate a couple times a week, private club, in an awesome bowl.
Whoa.
And one of them moved out to California, and it's a friend of mine, and he knew Tony Mag somehow, and Tony Mag had at the time, he's like an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He got a bunch of companies. Yeah. And one of them was a game company, and he called me, Chris, my friend Chris, told him about me, so he contacted me about doing some work for his game company, and which I did. It's some games, board games.
Cool. Oh, okay.
So I went to Toy Fair too, and with them.
Oh, and really? Okay.
In New York City.
Cool.
And then he also had 8th Street. So said, hey man, let's do some skate graphics.
That is so crazy.
So it's took off from there, and it's pretty much I can do a graphic whenever I want, because we've got so many lined up, and sometimes I go, well, I'll think about it. And then I got other stuff coming on, but now I've got some really cool one I'm working on right now. I'm really excited about. I'm just working on today, and just finished another cool one for a new writer for them.
I saw you had a picture. Are Danny Way promoting your?
Oh yeah, I did something for Danny not too
crazy.
long ago, and I did a game. I did something for Danny also, and something else a while back, and then for Bucky Lassick, who's another big name in skateboard. He had a game for Mind Twister, Tony's game company. And I did a board for him, but then it got passed on to this Italian skater. And so it's like whenever I want to do a board, I can do one. It's
That's
like
so cool, man.
Tony's always coming with ideas, going, "Hey, how about if we do like he's like we're on the back burners, like this thing with Vikings, what we want to do, because he's Swedish,
Oh yeah.
And there's always something else coming up. We're always doing it, so it's always like if we got a slow period, then let's do another board.
That's awesome.
Like,
that's so cool.
And it's pretty much what I want to do.
That's awesome, man. Dude, that's living the life.
It is.
Listen to that,
it's
dude.
really, it's a
Fian.
blessing, man. It's really cool.
It's beautiful.
And he's a great person. He's like one of my best friends. We became really close friends during this whole process, and we found out we have a lot in common. And like when I go to San Diego next year, hopefully COVID will be past.
It's not working.
It's like, I'll be hanging out with him and skating, out there and doing the show.
That's
That'd
awesome,
be great.
man.
San Diego Comic Con.
So that's so cool that you have so many different outlets and avenues in order to explore your art. There's and
I'm the easiest one to shop for, because I got a lot of things I like.
That's awesome.
My wife, on the other hand, is like, I don't know what the hell to buy her.
Yeah.
It's like she can go on my Amazon wish list and easily pick out stuff. Man.
That's awesome.
Like a lot of interest.
That's so crazy. That's so cool, man. Jack of so many trades. So I wanted to ask you, as far as if you have, like, let's say you have just like 2 hours set aside, no commissions right on your mind, no deadlines, and you just got like 2 hours to sit down and do some art, what do you like to do?
Do some art. I'll just sketch in my sketchbook.
Just
you
sketch.
know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Simple. Easy.
And I love sketching. A lot of my drawings that I post on Instagram are on toned paper, like tan paper.
Hey, I like those a lot.
Because I like...
Little Conti crown
Yeah,
highlights.
and I've got the basic white, the moleskin
Okay.
sketchbooks too.
I was just going to ask you your size and dimension even.
And
what do you like
those
to
are
sketch
great.
on?
Moleskins are great for just like white paper.
Yeah.
And I can throw in some watercolor sometimes too, But the toned paper is great because it adds dimension. You can like do a line work. Then you've got your mid-tone, which is a tan paper, and then you've got your highlights, and it just, I think it really adds that extra, thing to it. It brings a little more life.
It really
brings
does.
a little more life into the piece.
Yeah, well, it makes the finished product just kind of stand on its own, just automatically. You don't have to dress that thing up in any way. Just throw it in a regular old little frame and good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah. So where are you showing music around here? Oh, that's my phone. Sorry. Where are you showing artwork around here?
Oh, I'm at
currently
Woolworth Walk and the Crest Emporium, the Maya Gallery in Weaverville, and of course Eluvium Brewing.
Eluvium Brewing. Okay.
And that's around here. And then I'm also in the A.T. Hun Gallery in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, cool.
And then the Owl and Rabbit in Burlington.
Gallery. Oh, you were in the one. What's the one in Burlington?
Owl and Rabbit.
Not the one I'm thinking of. Maybe it is. I was
Burlington, North Carolina.
Oh, in North Carolina. Okay. I was thinking Vermont.
Is there another Burlington?
Vermont.
Okay.
That's the one I think most people know. I forget that sometimes that there's a Burlington, North Carolina. I forget, honestly. I was just up there a few weeks ago. I love Vermont, but that's why it was fresh on my mind. Well, hey, man, it's been so much fun chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming over. Is there anything like you want to leave the people with? Definitely tell them where they can get in contact with you. We'll definitely have everything linked in the bottom of the show notes, too.
Yeah, you just get a hold of me at Fian.com, Fian.com.
Super simple.
Yeah, and you get all my information there. You can email me from there. You can call me from there. You can Instagram me, Facebook me, whatever.
Yeah, dude,
it's
been
from my website.
It's been so nice having you over here to chat.
It's been nice talking to you, man. It's really cool. Had a beer while we're talking.
Had a beer, yeah. And we get to it's so cool. We get to document our first conversation. There's been a couple of y'all like that so far, and it's so cool. Just the concept of having it in audio format. It's really, really brilliant, really fun. So thanks again, man. Look forward to hanging out and seeing you around town.
See you around town. And if you ever want to do another interview, just hit me up.
Yeah. You're welcome back anytime, my friend.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Yeah. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother.
We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it if you've gotten this far. It's been such a fun project for me to try to put this together, and I am very excited that I have something to show for it at this point in time. Please keep in mind that I am definitely open to any and all kinds of feedback. I want to hear from you. What did you think of our conversations? Who would you like to hear more from? What would you like us to talk about? All that kind of stuff. And please know that everything that we spoke about should be linked in our description. And if it's not for whatever reason, or we talked about something that you would be more interested to, explore yourself, please message me and I'd be happy to get that information for you as well. Anyways, that's all I got to say, guys. Thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate it. I'll see y'all for the next one.